Welcome back to the Creatively Conscious podcast, where we interview industry professional graphic designers and educate beginners through conversation and experiences. You can listen to this episode on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Anchor, and anywhere else that you listen to your podcasts. You can also watch the action, emotion, and interaction unfold on YouTube. Thank you for everyone that's joining me today. Today's episode is an incredible interview with Robbie Murray. He is a super knowledgeable branding coach. However, in today's episode, we're going to delve into his past, his background as a designer in the publishing world, and how to get there. In this episode, we cover how to talk to clients, getting your first design job, and also amazing ways to improve your skill level. If you're new to the podcast and enjoy what you see, please don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel. So without any more hesitation, let's jump into this interview. It's always weird to have an intro to someone you've just been talking to for an hour.
I know, right? It's like, oh, and now I need to pretend like we haven't just been talking for a very long time.
I might just leave this in, to be fair. So me and Robert have had an hour conversation, but hey Robert, welcome to the Creatively Conscious podcast. It's amazing to have you on today. I'm really excited for this conversation because I've been wanting to get you on for absolutely ages, and now it's the perfect time. How are you doing?
I am doing, thank you. What? Oh my God, I'm doing amazing, thank you. I'm losing my words here. This conversation's taken its toll. Yeah, I'm doing amazing, Jacob. Thank you. How are you?
Good. Yeah, I'm fantastic too. It's been a bit of a tough week, but it's nice to kind of end it, have a nice relaxing weekend because I'm shooting this on a weekend and get to talk with you. It's amazing. So to start off this episode, I kind of wanted to, for the sake of the audience, give them a little backstory into you, your personal journey, and your professional kind of business journey as well.
Love it. I'm really looking forward to it. So, just to give people a bit of a background about me, I am a branding coach. And what I do is I help people craft messages that attract their ideal audience online through coaching.
Amazing. And that wasn't always the case, was it?
No. So, way back when I first started, so to give a little bit of what happened back in 2019, I left my corporate job to pursue my own sort of entrepreneurial journey. And originally I wanted to be a designer, right? That was kind of my first step into the world because it's everything I knew. I came from 10 years of design and identity management at a corporate financial publishing house. I've been there for 7 years, and I did 3 years in graphic design as well. So literally it's all I knew. And so when I first started my business, I kind of had everything set up as a design agency. But honestly, jumping into it, I had very, very little experience on marketing side of things. So I didn't really know what I was doing. And I stumbled across Facebook at first, and I saw people doing their thing on there. So I kind of learning from that and just okay, what do we do here? Great. Didn't really see any success with it. Facebook, I would say, wasn't really the platform for me. It was not very lively. Then managed to come across Instagram, and I was like, oh, this is kind of there's a lot of hustle and bustle around here.
Yeah.
And this was really the platform that kind of it gave me hope, I guess, that what I was doing. I learned a lot about marketing through Instagram, social media marketing. And it was there that I finally started to build a community. And through building that community, there were a lot of changes that kind of happened along the way. So my first client was a personal branding client. Mm-hmm. And they wanted to learn it from me because I'd basically invested a lot of time learning branding. And so I helped them establish the brand for their business. And it was over that call of something ridiculous, 3 to 4 hours, right? It was a long call because it was my first client, and I was just I want to over deliver. And from there, I got off the call feeling amazing. I was okay, this is something that I've really, really enjoyed. Like everything was saying yes, right? Like this is it. So I was like,
Yeah, you got like a warm feeling in your stomach almost because you enjoyed that personal connection.
precisely,
Yeah.
that was exactly it. So I was like, I had to do some internalizing and sort of ask myself, if I continue down just doing design, there's a lot less personal connection involved, right? Because design, I kind of feel like it's like an order based, right? You take your order, you do the design, you deliver it, and it's done. And there's lots of strategy involved in that process, right? But it's still not like personal.
Yeah.
You don't really need to find out about a person to get to a design. Now, you could argue that. I think that depending on like how your approach is, psychology can really help and like, understanding people. But again, like for businesses, not so much. I love working with people, and so that was the trigger for me, like that personal connection. I was like, okay, I can either choose to be a designer and continue on that path, or I can make a shift. So I tried the shift, and it started attracting like more people. Like I got another client, and I was like, oh wow, okay. And again, right, like it added to that experience because when before I did just the one, I didn't really know what I was doing. I didn't have a framework, let's say, on that first client. Like I was literally just like winging it. I was like, I have an idea of how to help this person, like because I've done it for myself, but I don't have like a formidable solution in place where I literally know it like the back of my hand. I was literally like, okay, have information that can help you. Let's work it out together, which is why it took 4 hours. But then like I got this other client and I like enrolled them onto a 2-month like project, and they came out of it and they were just like, this has changed my life. And I'm like, right, that is it now, right?
That has made it for you.
Yeah, full throttle. That somebody saying you have changed my life. And for me, impact is hugely important, right? Like I don't want to leave the world. I would I want to leave the world in a better place than when when I was left it, like whatever that saying is, right? I want that. I want to be able to leave some sort of mark and for people to remember the name Robbie Murray and take away from that, like me being able to help. That's one of my biggest drivers. Like I'm literally just here to help.
Yeah.
All I want to do. And also like through like a lot of internalizing as well, I really want to make branding fun for people. So everything that I do has this fun element. Like I want to make people laugh. I want to make people smile. And that's pretty much been my journey and how I'm here today. Kind of fully focused on that mission of helping people attract their dream clients by establishing their brand and creating messages that pull in the people that they want to work with, all while making that process incredibly fun.
Love it. Yeah, that's amazing. And that's something that I discussed on the first episode with Cam. It was, people don't really evaluate what things make them happy, and when you kind of approached what the business that you wanted to kind of spearhead and go into, you realized that design isn't something that leaves an impact, a lasting impact. So actually having an approach that gives you a lot more fulfillment is beautiful, really. And that's kind of what I would hope for anybody. So yeah, I would say you've kind of done a very good job of evaluating what you like.
Absolutely.
So one thing that I wanted to ask is, let's take it all the way back to kind of when you were first exposed to the design world. Like, what was it? Did you go to design school? Did you have any kind of formal education in design, or where did you kind of learn it?
Oh, wow. Now you are taking me back. So, once upon a time, 10 years ago, I went, oh my God, was it 10 or was it like 11 now? God, I
This
think
is
it was
this is what I
11.
love about this podcast, is because you've got so much experience, and I just want to dive into that.
Yeah, I think so. We are literally banging on the door of 11 years now
Phew.
of design. So I initially started my kind of like, I would say my creative journey takes me all the way back to art and design at school. It was the only subject that I did not fail in. Like, creativity has always been a passion for me, literally back from the age of 6 years old. Terrible drawings of cats. Like, it's always been there. And I think it manifests in like a million different ways now, not just through design, but just like how I think and how I approach things.
Mm.
But my formal education kind of like really kicked in when I studied fine art in college. And then from fine art, was basically kind of exposed to the graphic design department. So what happened was, like, we were in art and design, and there would always be kind of like, I don't know if you'd call it like get-togethers or just like sneak peeks, but like other departments would introduce into like other departments, right?
Yeah,
At college, you would
kind of collaborate
like,
and
yeah, yeah, and we were shown like the graphic design studio, and we're like way back when it was like Adobe CS1.
don't do that. That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, we're on Creative Cloud now. I mean, it used to be called Creative Suite, if you guys remember that. But yeah, like I was introduced to the graphic design department, kind of like met the tutors there, and they gave me a little bit of background about what they did, and or show me all the software and what they were working on. And I was like, oh, this is really cool. Like, you mean I don't have to use paintbrushes and like and all that stuff? And they're like, yeah, no, you could do it all on PC. Because like I was like, it was at the point where like that kind of real kind of design was like completely new to, not real design, but like computer-based design wasn't so. I guess I hadn't really realized it yet, right? I was too busy doing all my painting and stuff that I didn't really think, oh. So that's why there is like huge billboards, or that's why there's like street signs and anything like that. And so I was like, I'm gonna like take up this opportunity. Jumped in to a 2-year course into corporate identity and advertising, and basically learned all about graphic design, corporate identity, and advertising on that course. And like we were like
Amazing.
doing different, like we were doing.
What age was that? Sorry.
This was 18, yeah, because I did art and design at 17 and then jumped straight in at 18 to graphic design. And we were like doing like all these crazy projects for like logo designs for we have like a local radio station in Kent called KMFM. So like there was like this huge project, and for those that don't know, isn't it like Kent Messenger radio station basically?
Okay. Yeah.
But like they came in with a brief and were like, yo, we need like a new logo design. And so everybody in like my class was all like working on this like project for KMFM. I didn't win, but like so like it's not leading to anything amazing there, but it was just, I remember that project so well because I put like that was like my first introduction into logo design. I thought it was absolutely amazing. So logo design is still something that I love, by the way. Like, it's the one thing out of my creative journey that I still say, like, you ask me to do a logo for your business, I will charge you a lot, but I'll love every minute.
If you have to do it, charge me a lot.
Yeah,
But yeah,
ex-
but you still have that passion to do it at least, which is good.
yeah. But I mean, because the thing is, as well, is that I can't put it into my portfolio, right? It's something that like I keep it in a secret portfolio, right? All my logo
Mm,
designs I don't show to people because it's not what I am advertising. I'm a coach. Why is he doing logo design?
mm,
So like if anybody is ever like, yo, your designs look amazing or something like that, like, is there any chance you can help? I'm like, yes, but it's not what I like to do. So because I can't advertise it or anything, I put a premium on it. And it's also the 11 years of experience that I've spent doing it, right? Like you asked me to do a logo design, the process is super like,
yeah,
get the brief done. Let's
extensive.
understand why you want to build it, what the future of your business is. Like the system is what I would like to say flawless.
Mm,
Um, and they'll always get a good logo out of it. So like delivering on the promise right there.
yeah.
But yeah, so again, just like taking it back into like that learning of like graphic design, it was those kind of 2 years that really brought me into like that creative way of thinking. And that was the start of my graphic design journey. And
Mm,
then after that, I really just put those graphic design skills into practice through my career in corporate work for the financial publishing company called Treasury Today. Um, we were doing like multitude of different different things. I couldn't find the word.
yeah, different
But
outputs.
yeah, like magazines, handbooks, backdrops. And when I mean backdrop, I mean like the logo backdrops that you see at like award ceremonies with like logos printed
Mm,
onto it. Like
mm,
we were doing that. Even like the crystal awards that were engraved, like I was working on those kind of things, and like
mm,
menus, everything. Like it was crazy, like huge signage as well, like even creating conference booths. So like when you go to like a huge conference, you've got the booth setups. Did a very,
yeah.
I would say it was minimalistic because when it comes to conferences, there's like some next level kind of designs that can be done where the entire infrastructure is designed. Now, I would have loved to have been a part of that, but our like company didn't have like the funds for that. Boo. But that is something I remember somebody telling me that they used to work in that space, like they were designing the graphics and like the literally like the frameworks for these kind of immaculate looking conferences. And I was like, I'm a little jelly, but I know I can do it. So
Yeah,
I'll just I'll let you have that. But yeah, that's me. That is my backstory.
fantastic. Yeah. So in those 11 years, you've done a lot. You've done branding, you've done publishing, editorial kind of work, I guess. And it would be really
Yeah.
interesting to see that logo designer that won that Kent FM brief. It'd be interesting to see where they are now. I don't know if you know. You probably lost touch.
Who won it? Yeah, so I don't keep in touch with the guy, and all I can remember is his first name. So search for William, and you'll find someone.
I mean, even if you did know his full name, it'd probably be difficult to find him in this world. Even if you just, but yeah. Anyway,
Yeah,
so
actually, that just sorry
so
to
yeah,
cut in there. Actually, I could find his name. So for anyone super interested, like when this is like published, if you want to drop in the comments, like tell me his name. I may or may not have somewhere my old end of the year like booklet presentation from
okay,
college. So
yeah.
that would have his name.
If you cared, but yeah, let's say over that kind of period, and like now into where you are today, if you had to go back 15 years and do it all over again, what would be a piece of information or an approach or strategy that you'd extrapolate from what you know now and take it back with you?
Oh man. So for me, the only thing I would say is work harder. That is the only piece of advice I would give myself. I wouldn't change the strategy for the world, because honestly, I think that the journey I took was amazing. I loved every single second of it, and I would be a fool to want to change that, because there were so many valuable lessons that, you know, I took away. I probably wouldn't be here today if I didn't take those same steps, right? Like, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing. Like, I believe that like one difference would just completely change how everything pans out. So that's all I would do, is just work harder. Like, I would make an effort to learn at a better rate, right? So I'd be more heavily invested in, like, buried in books. I would be trying harder than everyone else, because arguably I would say at college, I was very lazy, right? I could have put in more, and I know that. So I would have just like put in so much more effort. Now, technically, you could consider that a change, right? I could be like, by working harder, I would be making a change. So there is that.
But
it is
by working hard, you probably got maybe some more opportunities, and you might not be where you are now. Granted, it's like when you watch those movies that are like going back in time, and it's like anything you change will change the future that you know. But yeah, working hard is a fantastic asset to have. And I think, anyone that is just getting into design and wants to learn as fast as they can, like you said, working hard is going to really speed up and streamline your process. You're going to find out what you love to do, what you're not so good at, and what you kind of improve, I guess. Don't know if you wanted to add any more onto that, or we could move on.
Yeah, so just to add one tiny bit onto what you said there, and like, it's taken on your point of experimenting a lot. I absolutely love that. So definitely resonate with that. Experimenting so much to find those things that you really love, right? Because again, like I said, like, I spent 2 years doing design. I spent 7 years in publishing. And I did like a completely different shift, right? It was like, yo, I've actually found that I want the one-to-one connection. I don't want to be like literally talking to like a faceless company doing design, right? Now, design is absolutely wonderful, and there are going to be a lot of creatives that are in the design space, and they
fulfilled by that.
I would say, you know, the design is not a bad thing. Design is absolutely amazing.
Design is amazing, guys. Anyone listening to this, continue with your passion.
Like, if design is your passion and you get lost in that moment, literally just like, you know, designing something, whether it be a logo, whether it be like some sort of poster or whatever it is, right? If that is where you get lost in the moment and are spending 4 hours and wondering, yo, where the heck did the time go afterwards? Then pursue that and put everything into it, because when that fills your heart with joy, like, you know, you found your thing, and that is how you make an impact. It's that thing that grabs your heart and says, I don't care what else is going on in the world, this is my happy place. Yeah,
lovely. I like that. I wondered, because this is something that I want to kind of preface when I ask this question, because I have a huge amount of passion for design, and I worked extremely hard over my time learning and my education in design. I spent 5 years probably learning to come out of university with a degree, but from my own personal experience, I landed myself in a position where I kind of ran out of hope, because I saw nothing kind of come towards me. So I just graduated, feeling on top of the world, and I'd got the achievement for putting in that hard work. I wondered how long it took you to get your first design job, and if there was anything that you kind of had to overcome, or any adversity that you faced. Because that can be extremely unmotivating. I'll just keep talking a little so you can kind of think. Because it's very difficult for people that have spent what they feel is like a lifetime in trying to get better and finally come out with that achievement, only to for it to come up empty.
What I would say, firstly, just to pull onto that, never give up. Okay, like because when your heart is in what you do, you should never give up, right? I'm a big believer in, you see it all the time. People are like, from the moment you decide to quit is like the moment that you've just missed out on things, like actually doing it, like you're actually going crazy. So never give up, okay? Just hang on to that. You just got to find a workaround, right? Still do what you love, but find the workaround without giving up on something. Because you're right, like, when something is your passion, if you're not being paid for it, passion starts to die out very quickly. So what you need is, if it's not working right now, is like funding in any way, shape, or form to make sure that that passion doesn't die out. Find something, anything that keeps you alive, that keeps you fit, that keeps you healthy and funded, right? So that you can like work 3 hours a day, I don't care, doing something that you absolutely hate, so that you can get back to your computer or whatever it is and do that thing that you love, okay? Like sometimes you need that shit job to fund that thing that you love. Because passion will die out if you are not being paid. Like if everything else around your life is falling apart because of your passion, it stops becoming a passion, it starts becoming a burden. That is really important, is just being sure that you have like some sort of safety net to keep you going while you're pursuing that passion. But really sorry, can you repeat the question? Because I know that I kind of took onto your question and added that, so just so that I'm right in my mind.
Did you have any adversity that you had to overcome when looking for your first job?
Yeah, so for me, I think it took me like 6 months before I finally found that corporate job I was looking for. So it was a really difficult period. Again, like, I was loving the design aspects of things, but it wasn't turning into money right now. So there was a lot of job hunting and trying to seek the thing that I wanted. So, practicing what I preach earlier on is that I was like working like a 3-hour cleaning job, just like making sure that I had some sort of cash coming in and firing out like, CVs after CVs to anyone that would literally have me, right? Because I think one of the problems as well is that, I was 19 at the time, and literally just coming out with just a college education. So for many companies, they're like, no, we want university. Like, we want this kid to be smart and bright. I'm like, yo, I like doing stuff, okay? Like, I learn on the job, and like that is my way of like that I love to do. And finally, through like the apprenticeship that was given to me through the company that I've mentioned, I was able to kind of own those corporate skills. And through that job, I think I learned some of the most valuable skills that I could ever have learned, not just from design, but just how to work, So that was one of my like hugest challenges, is, that kind of 6-month gap of no job. But I wouldn't have said that I ever felt demotivated, again, because I had that safety net, and I could come home and work on my craft. So in that sense, it kind of worked out. And the only other thing that I want to add to that is that when I finally got the hey, let's bring you on board for an interview from that company, I did my like research on the company, and I kind of like figured out that everything that I was doing wasn't what they were looking for.
Okay. Right? Yeah.
So it was like, because I'm like at home, like literally just like doing all my logo designs, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is great, right? But this company was primarily in publishing, so it was like editorial content, and they were doing awards. So I like immediately had to kind of learn a new skill. Like I had to adapt my own abilities and be like, I better learn how to do editorial design, because I've just been stuck in logos. So I think another thing to add on to this for anyone is to don't be one-dimensional as a designer, Yeah,
love that. Yeah, completely. I think we kind of get picky, and like if you love doing logo design, that's fantastic, but if at the moment you're not making money from it and you haven't had any experience at all, you've kind of got to just dig into where you can. Like I love branding, I love editorial, but when I came out of university, the job that was offered to me was a web designer, and I was like, I've got to go for it, because in your first couple of years you haven't got the opportunity to turn things down, and as soon as you get that first job, probably the same for you, like if you stay there for a couple of years, then you look better. And because people are always wanting experience when they're hiring now as well, and if you can give that in any form of which it says that you are a hard worker, that you can problem solve, that you are a good designer in that industry, it doesn't matter if you're in web design, editorial, or anything, going on to your next job, which is probably more favorable for you, it will give you a huge bonus, and it will just set you up for the future. So just take on kind of anything that comes your way.
Absolutely. And I truly believe that once you've got that corporate experience in the bag, like, it doesn't really matter what education you've got and what background you've got, because it's almost like your reputation speaking volumes for you. Kind of jumping into a little bit of branding here, but like when another company says, we are incredibly sad to see this person go because of the amount of value that they brought to the company, another company's like, yo, we've just hit like the jackpot here, right?
Yeah.
Like somebody else saying that this person was like, absolutely amazing. I still today have the company that I left like asking me, hey, you want to come back? And like that to me, like, it both hurts and is a privilege, right? Because like, it was a challenge at that company, right? Like it was a very, very like intense job. There was a lot going on every single day. So like it was one of the biggest challenges I ever faced in my life, but I'm super, super grateful for that. And the people that I worked with, for them to say, yo, do you want to come back? Like actually fills my heart with joy, because that is them recognizing that I was valuable to the company.
Yeah, and that's kind of what you wanted at the end of the day as well. So like you've got that recognition from your old company, and so if anything, you have made an impact already. You say that you want to make an impact in the future, but you've already done it, which is fantastic. But also touching upon what you just said about being in a corporate world and how important that is, and learning how to speak in a corporate language, how important is it to talk in a correct manner with clients? I saw a post from Robert Nolan on Instagram, and it was saying about how we can alter our vocabulary when speaking to clients, and they're more in tune to kind of go along with the work that we're offering to them and pay you more, and all these kind of different conversations that are quite difficult without that corporate experience, I guess.
Yeah. So I think I kind of understand where you're going here. It's like, it's almost like speaking to clients in a way that they are, well, A, going to be familiar with, and B, in a way that is going to make them believe in what you have to say, right? You have to position yourself in a place of knowing, right?
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter what your offer is, whether it be logo design, whether it be doing like an entire branding project for somebody, or, building a rocket ship, I don't know, whatever you're doing, right?
Yeah.
Whenever you are talking to a client, you need to be showing that you know so much, that you have this knowledge, but in a way that they can understand, right? And I think that's communicated through the value that you bring to them. A lot of designers, they focus on the product. That, hey, let's take Fiverr as a prime example. I will create you a logo for $5, and you will get 3 variations, and it comes in 2 colors, right? Like whatever, right? And you might get the original source file if you pay a little bit more.
Yeah.
Those are all product features that nobody gives a damn about, right? And this is why Fiverr charges so little because it is product focused. It has no benefits. The logo has so much benefit to a company. So much. It is the face of your business. It is your awareness. Okay, it's your visibility. Same thing, right? But you could use that. Visibility is probably a better word to use because people know it. It's a lot more user friendly. Everybody wants to be seen, and knowing what to say to a client to increase your value as a designer is so important. So what I would say is being aware of when you're talking about features versus benefits, because the way you increase your value is by telling them how it benefits them. It's so easy to think the logo for your company is a benefit, but it's not. Okay, stop selling the logo. Start selling the visibility, the future-proofed logo that is going to see that is going to represent your business today and 10 years from now. Because a good logo designer will create a logo that's timeless. Coca-Cola.
Yeah, very nice. That makes complete sense, because instead of saying this is what I'm going to do for you, this is the process that we're going to go through, what you're trying to say is that we should really focus on that value that you're going to be offering to the client that's going to come of the process that you do, not just explaining the process, not just trying to sell the process, actually selling what comes of that.
Absolutely. I mean, there's two sides here, because you do need to tell people what they're going to get, right? You can't just say, I'm going to get your business seen, and in the future people are going to love who you are, they're going to love this, it's going to be great, and hopefully we can see some increase in your revenue through the awareness that the I'm not even going to say it yet, that it generates. It's so what am I getting? You do need that. There's always the two sides, right? The emotional benefits, so all of the benefits that you've just spoken about, but then people need to see it. What am I going to get? What does this look like? And again, being able to show case studies, super important. As a completely new designer, I know that maybe not everyone's going to have that. So what I would say that is super important is to do a trial run of your services. Be super mindful that people want to see how it benefits them. So do that first free logo design and capture that kind of, here's the process, here's what their business looked like before, here's what it looked like after, and here's some of the benefits that they saw as a result of my work. And as a designer, being so clear that you actually want to get those benefits for your client as well, knowing that your mission as a logo designer shouldn't be just here's a logo, should be that you want this company to use their logo now and in 10 years time, because it builds a cohesive brand, because it keeps their visibility, their visibility is basically doing this over a long period of time, as opposed to doing this and then deciding to do a rebrand and then deciding to have to boost money into advertise. So you're saving people money by creating a logo that lasts forever. There you go. There's another benefit. Saving you money because this logo is going to last you for 20 years, as opposed to having to change it every 5 seconds. The money that they spend advertising their new logo, because you have to announce any change in a design change or something like that, because if you've got an audience, people know who you are. When you change that, people do not know who you are. People are so visually in tune to things, the shapes and the colors. If you can imagine tomorrow if all trees were blue, we would freak out. We wouldn't know what's real anymore, right? And it's the same for people's logos. If you change that color, they don't know what that is. And
that's a fantastic example. I like that.
Yeah, it confuses people. They don't know why it's there. Like, what is this? Why did they change it? Like all of these things are going inside people's minds, right? And when people are questioning why something has changed and you can't tell people why, then they lose trust in you. Because
Okay, yeah.
and this happened to Gap as well. This happened to Gap. People lost trust in Gap because they didn't communicate exactly why they did the rebrand. It was just like, yo, didn't like it, wanted to make it refresh, to keep up ahead with the trend.
Okay, yeah. So I guess, so if we were to take what we've just spoken about, and we kind of went on a little tangent, but to bring it round back to the point of what we were kind of saying, at the end of the day, if you wanna persuade clients to want to work with you, you're going to have to tell them the benefits, and you're going to have to make them confident of the service that they're going to get and the reward of working with you.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, to condense that, know so much about what you can deliver for your client. Like, know your skills, know your offer inside out. Stop focusing on the features and start focusing on how it impacts your client's life.
So the next question I wanted to ask you comes from a viewer from Instagram, and we are always kind of doubting ourselves as a creative, and I'm a large proponent of saying that I'm only as good as my latest piece of work. So how do we become more consistent as a creative? And that question came from Elis Zavadilova. I hope I've said that right, but yeah, take it away.
Love it. Yeah. So for that, I guess it's having processes in place to check your work, right? Like, I feel like it's a very personal thing to kind of say like what I'm happy with and what I'm not, right? You're always judging your work. So to be consistent with your work, when you look at something and you say I'm not happy with it, then that's fine. That obviously means that you want to go away and retry it, but maybe keep that idea that you've done and then redo it. Set yourself some new parameters to improve on what you've already created, right? Because it's all processed. Until you say this is leveled up, this is better, I like this, then don't, obviously, like, never settle until you're happy. That's what I say. That's
I mean, we were talking before this about whether you are a perfectionist or not, and your conversation that you had with Cam Pereira, and sometimes you have to think if your design is actually of a level that you'd be proud to put your name on it, and if it's not, if that's your best piece of work, that's amazing. Like, do whatever you feel is your best quality. But if you are still not happy with that quality, learn about how to get better. And there's a huge amount of resources out there for people to improve their own design. And I think when you learn the fundamentals of design and the ways to approach a project, a brief, all these kind of things, you will actually train yourself to be more consistent at solving the problem of the client in their brief. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. Yeah, that is it. It's all about improvement, getting better. And something I wanted to add on to what you said as well is that, like, if you are struggling to find the resources to get better on your own, ask somebody's opinion. Like, what do you think of this? Like, find a peer that you whose opinion you value, and say, like, please give me your honest feedback on this. Like, I want you to straight up tell me what you like and what you don't like, because this is direct feedback that allows you to improve, right? Somebody says, I'm not too sure of what's going on here. Like, maybe this could have been like this or like that. This allows you at learning through feedback.
Nice. Yeah, and I think to piggyback onto that, I think I learned that when I actually worked at a company with so many peers around you, that you're trying to obviously learn what you're doing, but you've got people that have had 10 years experience on creating the output that you're creating. their feedback can be so valuable because they can immediately spot what is incorrect about it. And sometimes it's not about how it visually looks, it's about what elements are there or what elements need to be there, and all that kind of stuff. So actually, if you have the opportunity to work for a company and have a lot of colleagues, they're a resource for you to learn from as well.
Yeah, 100%. And like, I completely stand that out because I had that. I didn't have like a huge amount of people in the know, so I had like a very particular person that I would go to for that feedback. Like, you know, he was my sensei. And like anything that I would like, you know, yeah, like anything I would create, like I would, if I felt like there needed work to be done, but I couldn't identify what that was, then I'd be like, can you give me your honest opinion on this? I know that something's wrong. I'm trying to identify it. Like, this is why going away and coming back to something is so important. Like literally just getting it out of your mind and coming back with a completely fresh perspective is invaluable. So if you don't have colleagues in a workplace, everybody's friends.
Yeah, having fresh eyes on a design is so helpful because they can pick up things that you weren't able to see. All right, coming off of that question, I wanted to ask, because nowadays there's so many people that want to be designers because the resources to be able to design are out there, and everyone can just pick up you've got Canva, you've got all these other free resources to design. But what are some quintessential traits of a successful designer? Because it doesn't really matter what tools you use to a point. So internally, what are some really successful traits of a designer?
Yeah, so I think really it's a great understanding of basics. That is all you need. And, you know, we're talking things like hierarchy, what else is there? Like, I think just like layout, you know, hierarchy, layout,
contrast,
good
balance.
Understanding of like font pairing, super important. Contrast, balance. Like, you know, all of these things, just knowing the basics is enough for a designer, because anything else is literally just being experimental with the basic elements. You need those core principles in place so that people can read it, so that people can understand it, and then everything else is kind of like up to you to just make it visually appealing. Like, people just need to make sure, see, with any design, and this is kind of talking more at graphic design as a focus here, is that it is communication, right? So you need to be making your viewer's life easier. That is what graphic design's intention is. It's to communicate 100%. Ideas and like systems. Graphic design is communication. Make sure that who you're communicating to can understand it.
Brilliant. Yeah, that's definitely, I want to piggyback that and just say having that empathy for your viewer is huge, and that's what me and Cam spoke about on the first episode of the podcast. Yeah, it's absolutely invaluable to just think about who is going to be viewing this, and will they be able to interpret it in the way that it's meant to, in the way that you intended it. By slapping things together, there's no intention behind that. So yeah, just think, and that's the whole point of this podcast, the creatively conscious, being conscious of what you're creating, and yeah, there you go. So I'm going to kind of bring it to a close, but my kind of final question is, what is the biggest piece of advice for anyone that want to kind of get into design? This is a huge one, so I understand if it takes you a couple of seconds to gather some thoughts for it.
Yeah. yeah, I mean, you could approach this in 1,000 different ways. Like, you really could, but like, I'm gonna take the easy road here and say, just start
Mm.
and learn along the way, right? Don't overthink it. If you've identified that, hey, this is something I want to try it. Like, what is stopping you?
Lovely. Yeah.
Don't tunnel vision yourself and only focus on one aspect of design, because it does present challenges later down the line. If people want other things from you, you can't deliver. And it's nice to
Yeah.
be able to upsell people as well, right? Like, if you continuously only work on logo design, then you can only sell people logo designs. But it's actually quite nice to be able to say, I'm going to pull a package together for you, and we're going to do this, we're going to do that, and it, hey, makes you more valuable as a designer as well. So again, just start and learn along the way.
Yeah.
Everything is already out there for you.
Yeah, because I think most people, whenever they start anything, they think about how can I be successful with this? And that's a great question to ask, but you shouldn't have a huge high expectation for something you've never done before. So if you are wanting to be a designer and be a successful designer, you have to go along the path, that journey to becoming that. It's not one of those things that you can skip through. And I know Robbie actually talked about this on one of his recent posts, I'm pretty sure, didn't you? On I think it was a reel on Instagram. So that's a fantastic piece of advice. And if you want to go over that in any more detail, then I'd be happy to accommodate that.
Yeah, so like, stop trying to jump to the finish line before you've even started, right? Like, there are no cheat codes. Like, I made it like super like nerdy because I'm a huge nerd. And like, one of the ways that I always approach games is complete the game first and then use cheat codes and have fun later, right? Like, and that's how like life should be treated, is that enjoy that journey, enjoy that process of learning everything, of making all those failures and using those failures as lessons to share with other people so that they can avoid them, right? But take that path, take it all in, enjoy it, because at the very end, when you finally reach that point where you're like, this is great, like I feel like I've finally hit that point where I'm really, really happy with where I am. It feels amazing, and you remember all of those steps that you took to get to the point. And then it's like, there's this new revelation of, where do I go next? It's exciting, right? And you have all of that experience to be able to move on to that next thing, right? But if you just try to jump to the end before you even started, like trying some hacks or whatever, right? There are no hacks, not for design anyway. Like, you got to work your ass off to get good. Unless you steal other people's work.
That's not something I am advocating on this podcast. Yeah.
Yeah, no, just like, never do that. But like, yeah, that is the thing, right? Is just enjoy all of those steps, and that's all I can really say. Just love the process. Don't try to reach the finish line, because there's no fulfillment in getting anything easy.
Yeah, no, I think that's a very good point, because people that get into their design career, it's the same for anything. Like, you don't want, if you're an actor, you don't want to win an Oscar for your very first ever acting role, because then you also get used to winning, and you don't actually learn the valuable lessons that come with losing. So yeah, just like you said, if you were to win the lottery on your very first ticket, it doesn't teach you any of the lessons for longevity. And taking this back to the design, you won't be a designer for a long time, because you'll think, what, I'm amazing at this now, and now I'm bored because I haven't got anything to learn. So I think having a process where you fail and learn and fail and learn and fail and learn is what brings you interest into your career, and also allows you to go to be a designer for a longer period of time.
Yeah, I think you just appreciate the whole thing and you want to go even higher because that's kind of where the journey is taking you. Like the journey never ends when you're taking that path to enjoy in every moment, because you know that every step that you're taking is making you happy and that you're documenting it all the way. And that, and again, it's like me thinking about impact and things like that, all of those steps, add up to all of these wonderful lessons that you later down the line can share with other people to help guide them along the way too. Like there is nothing more precious than being able to teach the things that you wish you had when you were in that position.
Yeah. And that's the whole point of why I started what I do now, is because I've learned things and now I can kind of teach them to people that are listening to this podcast and learning a huge amount from it. I have to say we've had some technical issues with this podcast, but I think it's been one of my favorite because of the amount of sheer value that's come from it. And if you're looking to start to become a designer, this is huge for you, because we're talking about some things that really, really matter. Because a lot of people try and get into something and like I said already, they just want to get to the end and skip to it and become good. But enjoy the process, guys, because that's what's truly important.
Couldn't agree more.
All right, Robbie. So it's been amazing to have you on this episode. Where can people find you?
Yeah, of course. So you can find me on Instagram at the Robbie Murray. You can also, I'm on LinkedIn, so just search Robert Murray. And if you really want to jump on and be part of something a lot bigger, I have an initiative that I've just launched with a business partner of mine, CEO Sphere. Keep your eyes and ears open because we want to change the world with this.
There you go, lovely. It's basically like the open. It's like Clubhouse without the restriction of having to be on iPhone.
It's Clubhouse version 2.0, and it's available for Android and Apple users. So anyone that's looking for live chat through video, so not just audio, by the way, audio and video. We got it all.
Beautiful, lovely. All right, I'm going to end the episode there. Thanks so much for anyone that's made it this far in the show. It was seriously amazing to speak to Robbie about his journey and experience while extracting some advice for you guys. For more educational design content, feel free to follow me over on Instagram at hedges.design. And make sure to tell me that you've been listening. You can find Robbie over on Instagram too at the Robbie Murray. I'll leave his handle down in the description for you. If you're watching on YouTube, that's all from me today. However, if you're listening on podcast platforms, stick around for another 10 to 15 minutes of exclusive content. Robbie and I prepared some quickfire questions for each other that we're going to be going through. It's both educational and funny, so stick around. Have a wonderful rest of your day.